late 1990s, Hong Kong was experiencing rapid social and economic change. Beneath the bright lights of the city, however, poverty, crime, and addiction shaped the lives of many who were left behind. Among them was Fan Man-yee, a young woman whose tragic story would later become one of the city's darkest and most infamous crime cases. Fan had endured hardship from the start. Abandoned as a child, she grew up in an orphanage before leaving at 15. By her late teens, she was caught in a cycle of drug addiction and poverty, often relying on sex work to survive. Eventually, she began working as a hostess at a nightclub in Hong Kong's red light district, where she came into contact with men linked to the triads. One of them was Chan Man-lok, a 34-year-old triad member who frequently paid her for companionship. Their relationship was not built on affection, but on money and power. At some point, Fan reportedly stole Chan's wallet, a small act that would provoke consequences far beyond anything she could have imagined. In March 1999, Chan, together with two accomplices, Leong Xing Cho, aged 27, and Leong Wei Lun, aged just 21, decided to punish Fan. They abducted her and took her to a flat in the Kowloon district. What followed was over a month of captivity and torture so disturbing that it shocked even seasoned investigators. Inside the apartment, Fan was beaten almost daily. She was forced to consume substances like chili oil, feces, and urine. At times, she was burned with melted plastic, and her wounds were left untreated. Some reports from the trial noted that her captors treated the violence as a form of amusement, playing video games while inflicting pain on her. The suffering lasted for weeks. By April 1999, her body could no longer endure the abuse, and she eventually died from the torture. But the cruelty did not end with her death. In an effort to conceal the crime, her captors dismembered her body. They boiled parts of her remains to delay decomposition. The most haunting detail was what they did with her head. Her skull was stuffed inside a Hello Kitty mermaid doll, while her remaining bones and organs were discarded in the trash. For months, the crime went unnoticed. But there was one witness, a 14-year-old girl who had been the girlfriend of one of the accomplices. She had been present in the apartment during parts of the abuse and was deeply disturbed by what she saw. After being haunted by nightmares, she finally went to the police and confessed everything. Her testimony led investigators to the apartment. Inside, they discovered evidence of torture and ultimately the skull hidden within the Hello Kitty doll. The scene horrified even veteran officers who described it as one of the most disturbing discoveries of their careers. The case went to trial in 2000. Prosecutors presented evidence of the month-long captivity and torture. However, the legal challenge was proving intent. While the abuse was undeniable, the jury could not unanimously conclude whether the men had planned to kill Fan or whether her death was the result of prolonged torture without an explicit intent to murder. In the end, the three men were convicted of manslaughter, unlawful imprisonment, and preventing the lawful burial of a body, but not of murder. They were each sentenced to life in prison with eligibility for parole after 20 years. For many, the verdict was controversial. Some felt the punishment did not reflect the sheer brutality of the crime. The story quickly spread across Asia and beyond. The press labeled it the Hello Kitty murder, a name that emphasized the chilling contrast between an innocent child's toy and the gruesome crime. Over time, the case became a grim cultural reference. It was the subject of documentaries, television dramatizations, and books. In Hong Kong, it became a symbol of how unchecked cruelty and organized crime could create horrors hidden in plain sight. For those who followed the trial, the most haunting detail was not just the doll, but the fact that Fan Man-yee's life had been one of abandonment, addiction, and struggle from the very beginning. Her death, as horrifying as it was, reflected a lifetime of suffering in a city where the vulnerable were often forgotten. Today, more than 20 decades later, the Hello Kitty murder remains one of Hong Kong's most notorious crimes. It is remembered not only for its brutality, but also for the way it revealed the darkest corners of human behavior, cruelty hidden behind the mask of everyday life, and innocence turned into horror